Carrie Kirsted Gnong of Advocate, Nova Scotia, came to the Acadia Collegiate Academy as a young man. He graduated from the Academy in 1915 and began a Bachelor of Arts at Acadia. But his studies were interrupted when Gnong enlisted before the end of his first year. He spent 3 years in France with the artillery, seeing action at the Somme, Vimy, and Passchendaele. When he came home in 1919, Gnong returned to his studies at Acadia and graduated with the class of 1922. He wrote an account of the events on the night of December the 1st and 2nd, 1920. 100 years later, our current students, alumni, and staff lend their voices to Gnong's article in the Acadia Athenaeum.
The burning of College Hall. There are days, hours, minutes in the histories of all nations, all institutions, all individuals which stand out as landmarks in the annals of their existence. Of such character is the first day of December, 1920, in the life of story of Acadia University.
The day had been dull. The sunset, all semblance of a breeze, had died away. As night advanced, a slight rain began to fall. All was still. The long corridors of Acadia Seminary were deserted. The occupants of the ladies' residence were wrapped in slumber. Even from the Academy and Willett Hall, no sounds fell upon the ghostly stillness of the night. Here and there, a light glimmering from an uncurtained window told of some student bending over his arduous task, or perchance of students who, wrapped in the exultation of Acadia's indoor sport, forgot that the hour neared midnight.
Then, about 11:15 o'clock, the sound of fire fell with startling suddenness upon the ear. A few moments before, the town lights had failed, and in the occasioned darkness, a student passing through the college grounds had seen, in College Hall, the flickering reflection of a flame. The response was quick. From Willett Hall, from the Academy, from the Pest House, from Butt Inn, the students came to battle to preserve Old College Hall from its threatened destruction. With chemical and hose they fought. Soon they were joined by reinforcements from the town of Wolfville, but fire proved their master.
For nearly half a century, the wooden walls and framework of that edifice had been drying for that hour, and, when the moment had come, naught but a miracle could save it. Against the greatest odds, in face of inevitable defeat, the firefighters strove for an hour to subdue the flames, while squads of volunteers worked valiantly to clear the offices and save all possible equipment. To their untiring and heroic efforts, the thanks of Acadia is due for the preservation of many valuable and irreplaceable records. When nothing more could be gained by the retardation of the flames, College Hall was abandoned to its fate, and the attention of the firemen directed to the preservation of the not far distant SEM.
How the fire started may always remain a mystery. Some attribute it to an explosion occasioned by the accumulation of gas in the furnace. Others hold theories of incendiarism. Still others that it had its origin in some defective wiring. The fact that the building had been recently wired, that there had been trouble with the lighting system, and that an inexplainable demand for power was observed at the power plant at an hour corresponding to the beginning of the fire tends to establish the latter theory.
When first discovered, the fire was confined to the inner walls and corridors of the building. Nothing was then visible to the spectator but a small column of smoke emanating from a window, or the occasional flicker of a flame as it burst through from the inner corridors to an outlying room.
Be the origin what it may, College Hall is burned, and in the burning it presented to the hundreds who gathered about it one of the grandest spectacles ever witnessed in the farmed land of Evangeline.
To those to whom the hall was not familiar, the seriousness of the fire was not at first manifest, but to those who knew and loved it, the situation from the first was hopeless. The long corridors, the spacious stairways, the crowning towers, built as they were of wood, seasoned by years of usefulness, provided the best possible avenue of advance. Rapidly leaping from corridor to corridor, jumping from stair to stair, spreading from classroom to classroom, the flames advanced until by midnight the building was a seething furnace.
Billy Oliver, our beloved custodian, rings the bell each morning to call us to chapel.
By far the most important use of the bell, as far as students are concerned, is to announce the winning of an athletic contest. As soon as the game is over, we race to the bell tower, hoping to be the first to grasp the bell rope and announce our victory.
Very early in the morning, when word was received of the signing of the armistice, the bell rang to announce the news to the community.
Furiously the fire burned, reflected by the cloudy heavens to the earth below, and by the snow-clad earth to the heavens above. Tenaciously the old bell tower stood, refusing to succumb until the last vestige of its covering had been consumed, and the frame itself converted almost to ashes. The illumination was scarcely less brilliant than that of day. From Blomidon, from Kingsport, from Port Williams, from all those regions upon which that tower had smiled benevolently for years, it was now seen wrapped in a consuming mantle of fire. High in the air shot the flames, wavering, flickering, dying, shower after shower of sparks carried upward by currents produced by the selfsame demon as themselves, floated gently away on the peaceful wings of night.
At last, with a crash that brought a groan from the assembled throng, that tower from which had chimed the news of country's victories fell, and with it passed the greatest glory of the night. Yes, for hours afterward the conflagration rages, now a portion of the roof, now a wall, now a tower, now a chimney, fell while sheets of flame soared heavenward. One by one, the tottering walls gave way. One by one, those giant timbers fell until by daybreak naught remained but a smoldering mass of ruins over which towered one lone, massive chimney to tell the old hall's former grandeur.
Our tale, in truth, is ended, yet we should feel it incomplete if we did not pause to tell you of how Acadia meets disaster. Acadia is not of wood and stone. Acadia is not of brick and plaster. Acadia is a spirit dwelling where her sons abide.
Notwithstanding the loss of classrooms, notwithstanding the night of disaster, the morning of December 2nd, 1920 saw Acadia carrying on. Clubrooms, storerooms, residences, and libraries were forced into service. Nothing was too much for anyone. Each and all were ready to do their quota. Each and all were ready to endure their share of inconvenience. This is the spirit of, this spirit is Acadia. Water cannot quench it, fire cannot destroy it.
In the face of worldwide depression, confronted with untold difficulties, the directors of Acadia University have launched $1 million campaign. The wooden tabernacle of this indomitable spirit has been dissolved, but the spirit lives, and the not far distant future shall see it enshrined in a hall of stone, greater and grander than was ever dreamed of by those saintly sages who laid the foundations of Acadia when they built the hall which was consumed by fire just 40 years previous to the present disaster. Carey, Kierstead, Ganong, class of 1922.
Ashes to ashes. O whisper low, dust unto dust, 'neath the early snow. Horses of fire, chariot of flame, swept from vision, that patriarch frame. The mantle of ministry fallen free, now grid on your service yet to be. Smoke and cinders darken the air, blackness flowing, rivulets bare, over the fields of slumbering green, into the foot-worn paths between. Ah, fertile the soil where the ashes are spread, and glory and beauty shall rise from the dead.